everything that you do as the leader, you have to really talk about the why. Because if you miss the why, we don't want order takers. We want people who can figure the solution out for themselves. And by teaching the why, they really start to understand slowly but surely why you're making the decisions that you make.
Hey, law firm owner, welcome to the Your Practice Mastered podcast. We're your hosts. I'm MPS.
And I'm Richard James. And Michael, how fortunate are we that today we get to have a second conversation with somebody that just dropped so many value bombs the first time we talked to him. James is with us again today. James, welcome to the show, or welcome back to the show. We had such a great conversation. We had so much interaction and comments and feedback from people who saw that first interview that we thought we'd have you back and unpack some of the ideas we talked about back then a little deeper. Sound good?
I'm happy to be here, happy to help. Just so everybody knows, this is October of 2024, so I dressed up as Mr. Clean today.
I like it. He's preparing for Halloween, and I appreciate that. We got to get ready to go. The countdown's on. We're down to less than 2 weeks away. So, James, like Rich said, we had such a fun conversation last time, and everyone else loved it too. We talked a little bit about non-attorney ownership in Arizona and then client experience. And then we were talking a little bit pre-show today. And so the value bombs are not going to stop. I know that for a fact because we just got a little bit more insight on things. One of the things you threw out pre-show was this review strategy you started implementing with the team. And there's even nuggets within that you mentioned that I think are powerful in themselves. So talk to us a little bit about how that came to be.
Yeah. So I think everybody struggles with getting reviews consistently. And as we try to add more practice areas to the firm, that was a big struggle of ours, of getting legitimate reviews. You have marketing companies soliciting you, I can get you so many reviews. And just a long time ago, I opted out for that strategy. I just don't think that it's not worth it to me to put that on the line. I've been strategizing a lot with the team. One thing we did that really worked pretty good to get consistent reviews every day, a few every day, was we do paid consultations for family law. So if the potential client comes in and they don't retain at time of consult, what we do is we offer to refund their consultation fee for the review. So essentially we're paying for the review in that way, but they leave a genuine review. And so the front desk, the receptionists up front, they're all on top of that and they get paid a little bit for doing it. So they're incentivized to do it. So that's what we started doing. But what I realized is the more locations that you need to feed reviews for, especially as I was saying with new practice areas, it's challenging. So I had a thought, I'm sure it was someone else's, the idea that I stole, I don't know, I'm not very original, of having a challenge, a competition, and creating milestones. So like milestone is if you get 10 reviews, if you get 20 reviews, so on and so forth. And so we do quarterly events where we take the team off site and we feed them lunch and we have a awards presentation and then a motivational keynote at the end. And then we go have fun, whether it's golf or whether it's go-karts or something like that. So we rolled out this review challenge, which was for the month of August and September. And within that period of time, we got 462 verified Google reviews to various locations. So we have, 16 or 17 different Google Business Profile locations. And so we said there's 5 that count for this review challenge. If you get reviews and the other ones, you get the standard compensation bonus for that. But these ones, if you hit these milestones, so milestone 1 was like 10, and like the highest milestone was 80 reviews. And we don't count filter reviews, so it's reviews that stick. And then we gave it a 30-day buffer. So the review challenge was from August and September, but the payout isn't until whatever's standing by November 1st, that's when you get the payout. So we try to create a little bit of an insurance policy in there to help us with that. And the top, if you got the 80 reviews, it was $5,000 that you got paid. And I think we had 4 people that are a little over 80. So my recommendation was, hey, have a couple insurance reviews in there in case they get filtered. You don't want to be 79. You don't want to just miss it by 1 review. So that was phenomenal. And since we started doing that, our injury Google Business Profiles, we're getting 5 to 6 new consults, and you convert 100% of those to new clients a month, which before we weren't getting anything but for internal referrals. And so it was a phenomenal thing. It will cost us some money, but so far it's been good.
There is so much. Oh my gosh, we could do an entire masterclass on just that 2-minute statement that you just gave us. So, wow, if you're listening to this, if you're that law firm owner that is 2 a.m., Facebook just found us and it's Saturday night and you're wondering, what did I get myself into? Why am I doing this? Why am I working 80 hours a week and banging my head against the wall? There's got to be a better way. Life's got to be better than this. You're hearing some value bombs right now. And by the way, I want to speak to you if you are that person and you're listening to James, you're thinking, oh, but yeah, he can do this because he's so far along and he's doing so much business and I'm having a hard time relating to him. These value propositions are very fundamental in the thinking. And so, James, let me come back to you real quick. How many team members do you have right now?
We have just over 60 team members.
Okay, perfect. So 60 team members, and of those 60 team members, you do a quarterly event. So that in and of itself, so the idea of doing a quarterly event for your team members, where did that inspiration come from? Did you learn that in another industry you're in when you had your agency? Did you read about it? How were you inspired to do that? And how does that work out for you? What's the biggest benefit there?
I don't know if it came from one thing. I know back in my early career days, professional days, I sold insurance. So we would have those type of events. And I was one that I wanted to get those. I wanted to prove to everyone else that I was an A player. We started getting some feedback from the team of all you guys care about is the money. All you guys care about is numbers. And so we wanted to create that culture of rewarding people. And so we have various awards that we give out. We have obviously the highest biller, the highest collector, so the highest collection rate. And then we have the client experience award. Every quarter you get a client experience award, and that's based off of the client experience surveys that every active client gets, Google reviews and video testimonials. So those all go into the equation and someone gets that. And then we have a core value. We've got one every quarter. We take one of our core values and one of the team members get that core value award. And then for every one of our offices, we have an impact player award. And that impact player award, everyone in that office votes for one of their team members to get that impact player award. And they have to say why. And then that comes to management. We see all the people who get voted on and we see why their team thinks that they were an impact player. And then from there, we have an impact player award. So it's been really good because we get them off-site. So we go off-site, we have lunch, we get to talk, and we just get to build relationships with other people, which I think in the grind of especially family law, we don't take the time to actually, especially attorneys, to open the door and go have a conversation with someone, how you doing? And so it really provides, it really cultivates the relationship that you really need to take your mind to something other than work so that you can not go crazy.
So again, for anybody who's thinking, oh, well, I don't have 60 team members, so it won't work for me. I too learned about this in the insurance business in 1988. Yes, I'm dating myself. So 1988, learned about this in the insurance business. Two things. One, quarterly events. And so when I bought my first funeral home in 1995, I only had 8 employees. Most of them were part-time. Average median age was 72 years old. The other thing that I learned in the funeral business was, the insurance business was that they loved giving away t-shirts or awards. And I didn't have a lot of money, when I was first starting out at 25 years old, but I could get t-shirts. So I found a local company. This is 95, trying to figure out somebody how to screen print t-shirts for me. It wasn't like I can go to the internet and order them. So I found some t-shirts, had rookie of the year made up or most improved player made up. And these are guys that would get up at 2:00 in the morning and help me pick a dead body up off the floor, right? And so I'm giving t-shirts out to 70-year-old men and I'm thinking, I don't know if they're going to like it. And these guys would wear them to the grocery store. They would wear them cutting their lawn. They love these t-shirts. And we only had 6 or 7 or 8 people and it worked. And so +1 on what you just said, giving your team the ability to get together, celebrate those people that have done a good job in a small way, not a big way. It doesn't have to be about money. And letting them be humans together is just, what a blessing you're doing for your team. So congratulations to you for taking that inspiration and running with it.
Yeah, 2 other things on that, just that might be helpful for some other law firm owners is we haven't done this all the time, but we really tried to do a video, a very emotionally impactful video from a client that talks about how somebody on the team changed their life. Internally, I think we go get video testimonials for the marketing, right? Which is great, let's do that. But talking about the impact that what you do has on society is a game changer because then it's not all about the grind of these cases. Because listen, I'm not an attorney, but I've been a practitioner in the weeds. And when you do that, you lose sight of the impact that you have. And so to the extent that we as owners and leaders within the firm can help them see the impact they have is by far one of the most important things that we've been able to do. So every single team meeting that we have, we talk about wins. And we talk about core values, not just our core values externally, but our core values internally. And then the other thought I had as you were speaking is we use these quarterly events as a recruiting tool. So the people in our pipeline, we invite them to come because they come and they see that we are different. They see that how much we love on our team, but also how we hold our team accountable. And A players want to be held accountable. A players don't want to work with B or C players. And so to the extent that you can demonstrate that, you don't have to pay them what they're making before because they don't like where they're at. So those are two other things that we have found to be really beneficial as it relates to these quarterly events.
Dave Ramsey put it like this: thoroughbreds don't like hanging around with donkeys. And I've learned that and remember that my whole career. MPS, that we experience this too, right? In our world, we'll get an email from somebody that says, oh, that script is a bunch of crap. That's not a good idea. I can't see it working in my practice area, in my town. And the team could get really down and out about the bang that you get every now and then from a negative response. But then you get that email from that company that says, man, we just celebrated our anniversary. We're up 22% this year. The team's on fire. They really want to hear from you. Can you make a video for us? And we do it. And we share that with the team, and it just raises everybody's spirits. You agree, MPS?
I do. Goes back to the thoroughbreds and the donkeys. There will be victors and there will be victims. You get to choose. So that said, on that note, James, one of the other things too, because you literally took the recruiting topic right out of my mind, which was great, because I was going to ask you if that helps in the recruiting of staff members, which obviously it does. We were also talking about just the importance of attorneys' favorite topic, numbers. So we were talking pre-show about numbers. So talk me through that a little bit. How has you and the management team reviewing numbers impacted just the trajectory and growth of the firm?
Yeah, I think as getting back to accountability, me and my business partner are pretty nice people. And I say we're recovering people pleasers because like you're never healed, right? Like you're always going to be a people pleaser. And as much as I have a, RBF face, I like genuinely care about people. But what I've learned is that your team needs someone to push them because they're not going to push themselves. And if they're not being pushed and they're not progressing in their life, they're not going to be happy. And so they need someone who loves them enough to have difficult conversations with them. And so that is about their performance. And so we've created this culture of everybody knows what success looks like. And everybody knows there's this cadence of meetings that happen. There's this cadence of reports that come out. And if you're not there, there's a conversation is going to happen. And it's not like a top-down conversation. It's, hey, what's going on? Like, how can we help you? Are you not getting the support you need? And so for numbers as it relates to like our current team, that's one thing that we have found that, listen, some of the people on our team don't like it, right? That's not an A player. Like if you don't like being held accountable, and like no one really likes being held accountable, right? Like I would love to sit on my couch and eat ice cream every day, but like I don't feel good about it. And so like I don't do it, but we all want to be comfortable. Like it's natural to want comfort, but it's how do you react when you be pushed? And so there's some people who get super negative. And so like we're trying to work through that with people, but understanding that they may not be here long-term because they are a negative person. So the other big thing is that we learn is with compensation, and maybe this is where you're going with that, I'm not sure, because we talked about it pre-show, is knowing your numbers, what your profitability numbers are, is so important. And I'm so grateful and appreciate that you guys educate law firm owners on this, because there's not a lot of education that goes out for this topic. But essentially what we do is we sit down with our team, and this is something super fresh and super new, and we ask them, what do you want to make? Like, I got so tired of the conversations of, hey, it's been a year and I haven't gotten a raise, like what's going on? And so what we did is we have a cadence of when we sit down with people, with our team, and the question is they actually get some homework that they go do ahead of time, and they come to the meeting prepared, and it is, how much do you want to make? Oh, you want to make $8,000 more? Cool. Let's figure out a way for you to get that. And we have the formula because of what you guys teach of here's what we need to get. If they're generating this much revenue, this is what we can pay them. And so we have to find a way to educate them of how to increase profitability so that they can make more money. And it was really interesting. So I sat down with a legal assistant, and I thought he did a really good job explaining this. And she comes in my office a couple of days later, and she's like, hey, can you help me understand this? Like, how am I less profitable the more money I make? And I'm like, oh, maybe I didn't talk about that because I just thought that was common sense. Like, and so like I had to take the time to really explain to her, like, listen, the more you make, all things being equal, you don't produce more, the firm makes less money or less profitable. And I saw it on my whiteboard. She's like, oh, thank you so much for sharing that with me. And that got me just taking a step back. Like, how many people on our team don't understand that they get raises and their profit and the revenue they make needs to increase in at least direct proportion with what they got in a raise. And so like, those are just some breakthroughs that we've had this year that have really been awesome. But what it does, it empowers your team to really be able to see that you're not the bad guy in the situation. It's not you saying you can't get a raise. It's them, it's their ability to produce. And if you're super transparent about what those numbers are that they need to do, they get it and they feel empowered. And it's been phenomenal. It's been really awesome.
So the message, the takeaway here, again, oh my gosh, value bomb city. But the takeaway here is, if you're a law firm owner listening to this, you need to not take for granted the fact that your team members likely need to be educated in how this works. Now, we have a bit of an advantage in our company because Michael and I are educators by trade. I mean, this is what we do, right? So we tend to educate our team quite a bit. Just take the example, coming back to our conversation and anybody who's listening, take the example of the pay for referral model, right? So if you ran the quick math, it ran somewhere around $60 per review, right? Okay, based on your top tier mark of 80 reviews and $5,000, right? Yeah. All right, so you go, well, is that a lot or is that a little? If you say, hey, because of our efforts, we are now seeing, coming from our Google My Business page, from those reviews, because those reviews got put up and Google gave us better rankings and we had more credibility with the people that were seeing it, we're now seeing approximately 5 new PI cases come in a month from that. Well, if a PI case in your firm is worth, on average, you're just getting started, so I'm going to give you $5,000 to $6,000 gross case value to the firm. So at net, after you get your share of the settlement. Well, okay, so if we run that math and you go, well, how much did it cost us per case? The answer is it costs you like a diminishing amount with every new case you get, because the reviews will probably stay there forever and the credibility that you have will likely continue to grow because you'll add more reviews. So like that work that you did to add those reviews is not only going to get you a case this month, it's going to get you a case next month, it's going to get you a case the month after. And if you continually do it and you continually put a machine to it and you keep growing your reviews, not only from your in-house team, but also from your clients and your referral partners, it just starts to compound on itself. So the $60 you paid per review, while it might feel like a lot of money in the beginning, over time, it's going to have a ridiculous return on investment. Now, in this particular case, the PI cases, you're going to have to wait until you reap the value of those cases, but that's true anywhere. And if we know that if I was to run a pay-per-click campaign, because we happen to know this, on a PI case, and you wanted to just blunt force pay for advertising that was going to get you a PI case, we know it's somewhere between $1,500 and $2,500 per case on average to acquire that case. Which means, am I paying $1,500 to $2,500 in spend to acquire those cases I acquired? Heck no, because we did it through the use of reviews that bolstered our Google My Business page. So I say all that, okay, so great, let's assume I didn't just lose everybody that's listening because I just did this public math. And so what does this mean? Well, this means that, James, your job now is to realize, if you haven't already, and you probably have, you're a bright guy, that your team likely doesn't understand how you were able to calculate this $5,000 for the 80 reviews. If we don't take the time to educate them, we run the risk that either the person that received the money or the people that watch them receive the money thinks that, oh, our company's just made of money. Look, they're paying $5,000 for reviews. What's a review? And so the CEO of the company has a responsibility to educate their team so they understand why we're doing what it is we're doing. And P.S., did I do a reasonable job of explaining that, or did I confuse everybody?
Well, you did a reasonable job of explaining it, but I know, public math sometimes is people. But I think it was pretty spot on. And geez, the episode probably could have been cut 10 minutes ago and there would have been so much value produced already that you could break this into several episodes in of itself. But I want to hear from you, James, just because I know you guys have a lot of exciting stuff happening. What's got you excited? What's got the team fired up? What's on the horizon for you guys?
Yeah, before I answer that question, just to kind of go back to something that Rich was talking about is everything that you do as the leader, you have to really talk about the why. Because if you miss the why, we don't want order takers. We want people who can figure the solution out for themselves. And by teaching the why, they really start to understand slowly but surely why you're making the decisions that you make. And they can start thinking for themselves and they don't continue to ask you like questions that are like, why are you asking? So teaching the why in everything you do and then showing them once they accomplish it, hey, yeah, you were in alignment with that. You did a great job. But really what it is, this review stuff and actually business building in general is the law of diminishing returns. Well, it's the law of increasing returns. So in the world, we're so used to the law of diminishing returns, which is you do it once, so you cut your grass, right? You cut your grass one way and you see an immediate result from it. Now, I can go cut my grass the other way and shave a little bit off of it, but the amount of return that I get for putting in the exact same amount of work is like not worth doing it again. But the law of increasing returns is you do it, nothing happens, very little happens, you do it, and then slowly but surely it just compounds. It's the opposite of mowing your lawn. It's the opposite of diminishing returns. And so many people aren't willing to sacrifice today for a better tomorrow for themselves. And I'm blessed because I started with auto and home insurance. Like I got paid nothing. I got paid $50 commission for a new policy. And I had to build a big book of business before my life was great. For the most part, if business owners and law firm owners could really just understand this is the law of increasing returns. And it's a true law and it will apply if you apply the law. So what's got me excited? In the pregame, we were talking about you have different problems that you solve for based on where you're at in the law, where you're at with growth. So this year we'll do about $11 million in revenue, and we're solving for different problems than we were this time last year. And a lot of those are outsourcing. How can we continue to stay profitable under the current circumstances with inflation and people needing to make more money? I want them to make more money. And it can just be challenging. It can be challenging to pay a legal assistant what they need to live on and still be profitable with his or her labor. And so what's got me really excited is understanding how I can leverage and be a blessing for people overseas and actually pay them well for doing the job that I can't do profitably here. Because if I can't hire for a position and do it profitably here, I'm doing everyone on the team a disservice. I really am. And if I have that mindset, going overseas and being a blessing to someone else's life who's making $5 an hour, let's say, when they were making $1 an hour, that's a great thing for them. But ultimately, it's a great thing for the business so that I can continue to support the team that I have and they don't jeopardize their future or the firm's future because we're making an unprofitable decision to hire someone here for a role that I just can't make money on based on what we're charging the client for.
I love that you said that, and thank you, because it feels like sometimes we have to dance this or walk this tightrope or this line that, oh my gosh, we're taking food out of the mouth of the American worker. And I understand that. And I would like to hire the American worker first and foremost. Sometimes we just can't fight macroeconomics. And there is a price ceiling that people will pay. And more importantly, in law, a lot of courts will allow you to charge depending on practice area. And so I'm all about charging as much as you can, but you can only go so far at some point. And when labor costs start to get out of whack with the profit and loss statement, which is where it should be. So just for everybody listening, your labor cost should not exceed all in 401ks, insurance, taxes, everything you do for labor should not exceed, including the owner's market-based wage, 45% of gross revenues. And so if it starts to get out of whack on that, the firm has a really hard time surviving and continuing to grow and serve people. And coming back to the why, a long time ago, I didn't know why I was going to work with lawyers, and I didn't know I was going to work with lawyers. I fell into it. And then I saw like the good work that law firms do. And I call it doing God's work. I really do think so. They make a difference in people's lives or meeting them in some of their deepest, darkest moments. And so it's a wonderful, rewarding business at times. It's also challenges at times, but it's a wonderful, rewarding business. And we should be able to help as many people as we possibly can, but we have to make sure the firm is profitable. And if that means we have to look to certain positions where we have to take advantage or leverage global pay scales so that we can do that, then that's our responsibility as a CEO. Because if we get caught up in the emotional perspective of this and we don't pay attention to the data that's telling us we've maxed out our fee that we can charge and now we're exceeding our labor costs, the firm can get upside down very quickly. And the number one thing I have seen ruin law firms throughout my years of doing this is when their labor costs get upside down and they start losing money every month. And it's sad to watch because the emotional component that's connected with you and the person that you hired, and now you brought them in and you hire them, the difficulty many small business owners, not just lawyers, but many small business owners have with downsizing, forgive me, but the shit hits the fan, is challenging for them. And so when their P&L gets upside down because they didn't pay attention to the numbers and they didn't look at global solutions, you mix the negative financial component with the emotional glue, and things start to spiral out of hand very quickly, which is why, and this isn't a commercial, but we are in agreement with you. My partner 9 years ago, Bertiner, he was a guest on this show, launched his first employee in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. And today there's 350 agents down there that our clients employ. And we see the value of that because there were just certain roles that in the legal space in the United States, the financial macroeconomics don't support U.S. labor for it any longer. It's sad, but it is true.
Yeah. And I think the one thing that's really been helpful for me to really keep all that in check and perspective is the law firm, the entity itself, I serve it. It's not here for me. And so if you can have the mindset of, I need to do what's in the best interest of my firm, not what's in my best interest, it's a lot easier to make those decisions. It's a lot easier to not die on a hill for an employee. Because like you are serving the law firm, and if you're not making the best decision, you have an employee who's you're not profitable with, he or she's a cancer, they're negative, and you're like, I need to be loyal because they've been here for 20 years. That is self-centered. Like you're making that decision for you, not for the law firm. And if you can really think of it as with that perspective, it's a lot easier to make those decisions. And I agree with you, like we are doing God's work, and it is by serving our clients, we're keeping the second great commandment. And to the extent that we can really help people, and one of the things we were talking about in the pregame is talking about the impact that you have on your clients' lives. What does that outcome mean? What does that legal outcome mean for the kids and the generations to come? And if you can really focus on that, you can really start to have a mindset of, I am a servant and I'm helping people. And you want to know what? I can make a great living and I can support my family great and we can be comfortable. And I'm doing something that has an impact on the world. And it's not just settling cases. It's not just going to court. And so I think as a leader, as a CEO, you need to really be doing that. You really need to be talking about the impact that you're having on your client's life, but also the impact that you're having on your team members' lives. I love coming to work and a new employee gets a new car. To be honest, I drive one of the oldest cars in the firm. I really do. Like I drive a 10-year-old Chevy Silverado. And I don't park in the covered parking. I let everybody else park in the covered parking. And I love it when they have new cars because it's like they have a better life today by working here than they had before they got here. I love seeing the impact that we have on our clients and on our team members. And for me, that drives me. It's not the revenue that we're making. It's not the amount of offices we have. It's the impact we have on those two categories of people.
And P.S. No, doesn't get much better than that.
Well, we'll toss this up, James, as another top performing episode before it even airs because I can guarantee you it will be. So thank you for investing your time again to be on the show. This was awesome. I really appreciate it. And obviously the law firm owners listening to this, you probably have a laundry list right now of notes to take from ideas to start to implement. But if you enjoyed this, make sure you hit that subscribe or follow button depending on where you're listening or watching. Turn those bell notifications on and show James some love down in the comments below. Let us know if you have any questions. James, thank you. Thank you again.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
James, it's a real pleasure to watch you grow your firm and to hear your message. It's a pleasure to know you, and I'm honored that you came on our show again. Thanks so much. Appreciate you.
Thanks, guys.
That's the pod.
Appreciate it.